This is Aleator.
Now, can I record this?
Yes, you can. Okay, and I'll show you some different things when we get into it. He has 2 sets of teeth.
Oh, wow.
And if you get it just right, you'll see that he has eyes that have pupils. He's actually able to open and close his eyes.
Oh my goodness.
And they can even blink at you, so which most people are sometimes a little bit surprised at, but he does actually have eyes with pupils.
Amazing.
It's somehow that they can refract the light in a very peculiar way that it allows that to happen. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
I can't really
It's
see
actually
it.
coming in really good.
Around the top of the head, you can see with the sutures of the skull. Okay. And even though it's small, it is just very, very powerful. It is not crystal. I know for a fact that it's not crystal, because crystal does not move, and I call it liquid light.
I see gold.
Yeah, you're going to start seeing some different colors coming into him. I'm going to put this, I'll put this blue cup here. And if I put my hand over the cup, you can see the blue.
Yeah.
Well, that's coming through my hand.
Blue and purple.
You got the blue and the purples. Yeah, and we've got
The
basically...
gold is still there too.
And the gold. Okay.
Look at the green.
Those will come from different areas around the room. His name is Aleator, or Lord of the Tones and Frequencies. He moves the frequencies. So I'm going to move him around a little bit, and you can see him. He'll start to pick up the different colors. Well, that's really pretty right now.
Wow.
Okay, I don't know if he's going to pick up from there.
Oh my goodness.
Now, when I turn him over, yeah, he does. He's Lord of the Tones. When I turn him over, if I get the light just right, you can see his brain. Let me know when you get the brain. Okay. I want you to be able to get a good picture of that.
Oh, sorry.
Let me get it for you. There you go. That's his brain.
Oh my goodness.
And you can see on each side he has ear canals that actually go into the brain.
Wow.
He has a pineal gland. He has a full brain. And you can see the bone structure from the skull around his brain also.
This is phenomenal. Oh my goodness.
Now this skull, the Maya told me, was found inside of a ceiba tree, like the great redwoods. The redwoods, you know, the trees are huge, and you can walk in through the base of the tree and go up inside. Well, that's what happened. This was on an archaeological site. The men were working on a site, and then there was a hurricane, and they all ran into the forest during the time of the hurricane, and a large tree fell over and in the forest. So after the storm was past, they walked inside the tree, and that's where they retrieved this from.
Wow.
And it stayed in their village until I came along. And then the first time I held it is when I levitated. You can see in the picture here that my feet are not on the ground. And you can see up here, this is untouched, but you can see this round circle right here and this circle here. Those are eye sockets. That's a huge crystal skull.
Wow.
And there's another skull that's just above my hand here. These are eye sockets and eye sockets. You're looking at crystal skulls.
Yeah, I see that.
And I look like a light bulb. And the Maya knew then that I was the keeper of the skull.
That's amazing.
No, in the middle of the night I hear, "Go to Shasta, don't return." And I said, "What?" And I sat up. Go to Shasta. Don't return. What did you say? Go to Shasta. Don't return. What? You want me to leave my family, my children, my center, everything? Go to Shasta. Don't return. So the next morning I called up everybody and I said, I am going to Mount Shasta. I am not returning. Here's the keys to my center. And I started crying, and they passed around the fortune cookies because we had all gone to lunch. And I opened my fortune cookie and it said, follow your dreams for they are true.
Wow.
You know, when God does something, it's to the very, very fortune cookie in your hand. There's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to see my friend Elizabeth to say goodbye to her because I used to buy crystals from my store out at her warehouse. And on her table there was a little something that kind of looked like all this.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and I said, Elizabeth, where did you get this? And I turned it over and I could see the bottom of a skull. And she said, oh, somewhere in Central America. It was in the bottom of the box. I didn't order it. I said, Elizabeth, how much do you want for this? And she said, oh, Susan, $2. Because it looked worthless. It was all like stalactite stuff. Had been in a cave for centuries probably.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, $2 and it's final. So I bought the second half of the skull for $2. I didn't know that it was a skull.
Yeah.
And I took it home and I soaked it in CLR and I brought it home and tried chipping it. And I said, I'm going to destroy it. So I wrapped it up and put the two together in a box. And I flew out here to Mount Shasta and I was very depressed here. Put it in the Bank of America and left it there for about 6 weeks. And 6 weeks later, I met a young man that was hitchhiking around, but he was reading my first book. It's the only person out here that knew me in any way. And I said, Magnus, would you like to see the skull? And he said, yes, I'd love to see it. I said, well, let's go get it. So I drove him over to the bank, and we went in and got the box and went straight up the mountain, and I opened the box up. That was in the box, but then this was in the box.
Completely.
Oh my goodness.
Just like it is.
That's
All the
amazing.
stalactite matrix was gone, and I heard the words Elzara, and I said, oh my God, Magnus, you hold him, and I'm looking at her. It was as much a surprise to me. Wow. And I'm looking at her. I didn't even know, but later I found out her name means the daughter of light. It was actually, when I put it in the search engine, come to find out, it was the name of the goddess Mot, Egyptian goddess, that when you die, you take a feather, and if your heart is as light as a feather, you can go through paradise.
Mm-hmm.
And this also has a full brain. I don't know if you're getting it.
There we go.
Okay.
Wow.
They are twin flames, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That is too cool.
And as soon as I saw her, it was like, oh my goodness, look at this.
It's so perfect.
And they
It's an incredible
started
story.
they started getting very hot, and Magnus is over there saying, Susan, I can't hold it anymore, it's too hot. And I said, yeah, she's really hot too. So we put them down on a rock, and we started to take pictures of them because they started growing. They got almost full size, and they were growing and growing, and they're getting big and blue. And I'm hearing a voice tell me, pick them up and put them together. And I said, I can't, they're too hot. Pick them up and put them together. And so finally I went over and I picked them up and I put them in my hand, and they're hot potatoes. No, put them together. No, put them together. No, put them together. No, put them together. No. I said, what do you want? They're too hot. I can't hold them. I can't hold them. So I held them like this so they wouldn't burn me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I hear, now put them together. And then I saw them like this for the first time. And I said, oh my God, that is a heart. That is a human heart of a child. And as soon as they were together like that, all kinds of information started downloading to me.
Wow.
And I said, Magnus, this is the heart of a child. This is the final end of the prophecy. In Christian prophecy, you enter the kingdom of God with the heart of a child. And in Maya prophecy, you had to have a perfect heart. And they were on the temples. They would sacrifice thousands of people at the Venus transit because they were always looking for a perfect heart to appease God. And it was like in my mind, all of this is clicking, coming together. The Christian and the Maya prophecy together. They had lost this. It's like going to communion. You don't keep sacrificing. No,
Yeah.
you do this in remembrance. At the end of days, you had to have a perfect heart to offer back. I said, Magnus, this is the heart. We have to give this back to God. And I said, will you do it with me? And he said, yes. So he steps up, and I start to make prayers to give the final piece of the prophecy, to give it back. So I'm starting to lift it up. And as I started to lift it up, the dirt around us starts to spin. Okay, this was really weird. The dirt started spinning around us. And Magnus, he got scared. And he started to back off. And I said, Magnus, we have got to do this. He said, Susan, you're calling in the gods.
It's kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. I said, Magnus, I said, this is the final piece. You're the male. I'm the female. This is male. This is female. This is the representation of the masculine and the feminine, the giving of the heart back to the Creator at the end of days for humanity, for the new kingdom that is coming. We have to do this. You've been chosen. Will you do this with me? And he said yes. So by the time my hands were up here, we were completely inside of a whirlwind. We were in it. And when the prayer was done, all of a sudden that whirlwind that we were inside of lifted, and the two of us watched it go up into heaven and disappear. And then we fell. We fell to the earth. I thought these were going to go. They didn't go. They were left behind. I thought they were going to be gone. But we fell, and when I woke up, and when Magnus woke up, we still had them. And he looked at me and he said, Susan, can I call my father? He was from Norway. Susan, can I call my father? And I said, yes, Magnus. So we managed to get ourselves up, and I drove him down to my place, and he called Norway. He called his dad.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I could hear him on the phone. He says, Dad, I want to tell you I'm not coming home. And his father on the end of the line says, Magnus, come home. He says, what do you mean you're not coming home? And he says, Dad, I have to build a new world. And his father says, Magnus, come home and build the porch.
That's too funny.
And the last I ever saw of Magnus, that was in August of 2004, he was on his way to India, and I've never seen him again. I don't know, have no idea what Magnus is doing.
Wow.
But I'm sure he's doing something very spectacular.
Yeah.
So, there they are.
That's incredible. Thank you so much.